Mokuba, what do I always tell you? If at first you don't succeed, blast them with your blue eyes again!
Blue Eyes White Dragon is a classic monster, basically our Yu-Gi-Oh's Charizard, and he's held by the main man himself, Seto Kaiba. Over the years, the Blue Eyes archetype has gotten more and more support, and in this video, we're gonna have to take a look at that. To start off, we have the vanilla monster itself, Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's level 8, 3000 attack, and 2500 defense. There's not much to go over here since it's a vanilla monster, but you are gonna send your deck around this. The White Stone of Legend is a tuner monster that's level 1, and has 300 attack and 250 defense with the effect. If this card is sent to your graveyard, add one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand. It's not specific of how it's sent to the graveyard, so you can always come up with ways to search up Blue Eyes. Really good card, and you can just discard it for it to activate its effect. The White Stone Invasions is another level 1 tuner with 600 attack and 500 defense. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one Blue Eyes from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of the White Stone Invasions once per turn. The first effect is a bit tedious nowadays, but it is useful later on for graveyard setup. Maiden with Eyes of Blue is yet another level 1 tuner with no attack and defense with the effect. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card, you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, change the battle position of this card, then you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only use one Maiden with Eyes of Blue's effect once per turn, and only once that turn. Your opponent will always look at this card and wouldn't try to touch it with a 10-foot pole, because its effect will give you the 3000 beat stick. You can also target this monster with effects too, just so that you can do it yourself without making things get complicated. Master with Eyes of Blue is a level 1 tuner monster with 300 attack and 1200 defense with the effect. When this card is special summoned, you can target one level 1 light tuner in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can shuffle this card from your graveyard into the deck, then target one effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes from your graveyard other than the set monster. You can only use this effective Master with Eyes of Blue once per turn. In my opinion, it's good to be at least one copy, because honestly, there are better ways and less noisy ways to bring back Blue Eyes. On the other hand, its first effect is really good for recycling. Priestess with Eyes of Blue is a level 1 tuner spellcaster with no attack and defense and has the effect. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card, you can send one effect monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, add two Blue Eyes monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one Blue Eyes monster you control, shuffle into the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. You can only use one Priestess with Eyes of Blue's effect once per turn, and only once that turn. The first effect tries so hard to be made with Eyes of Blue and fails at it. The only time you'll maybe need this card is if you desperately need a Blue Eyes White Dragon and a Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. And let's be honest here, nobody, and I mean nobody, uses the second effect. I'm not shuffling my Blue Eyes White Dragon to bring out this card. Protector with Eyes of Blue is another level 1 tuner with 800 attack and 1300 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 1 light tuner monster from your hand. You can target one effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your hand. You can only use this effect of Protector with Eyes of Blue once per turn. All the synchro monsters are level 9, so you're definitely going to use this card for that. Sage with Eyes of Blue is level 1 tuner with no attack and 1500 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, except Sage with Eyes of Blue. You can discard this card, then target one effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can only use this effect of Sage with Eyes of Blue once per turn. It doesn't even need to make itself useful by making field presence. Do I need to say more? The man himself, Kaiba Man, is a level 3 monster with 200 attack and 700 defense. You contribute this card to special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. Makes me wonder if Kaiba put Pegasus at gunpoint to make this card. Yeah, nobody plays this card anymore because it's not searchable, but it's still a good reference. Paladin of White Dragon is a ritual monster that's level 4 with 1900 attack and 1200 defense. You can ritual summon this card with White Dragon Ritual. At the start of the damage step, if this attacks a face down defense position monster, destroy that face down monster. You contribute this card, special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or deck, but Blue Eyes White Dragon cannot attack for the rest of the turn. What the f? So you need to tell me I need to ditch at least a level 4 monster, if not more monsters at their lower level, tribute this card, and then bring in a Blue Eyes only for it to not do shit. Look, I know it came out in 2003, but Jesus, even that was too much setup for back then. Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon, hey! I see you with it out. Put it back in. It's a level 8 monster with 2500 attack and defense with the effect. If this is special summon, you can add 1 ritual spell or 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand. During your end phase, you can add 1 level 8 or higher dragon monster from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard. All level 8 or higher dragon monsters you control gain 1000 attack. You can only use each effect of Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon once per turn, and you can only activate them while Blue Eyes White Dragon is on your field or in your graveyard. It's a good way to put this monster in both the Ritual and Fusion engines, but it also only brings generic attack boosting. It's your choice if you want to run this card or not. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon has the same stats as the regular Blue Eyes and has the effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by revealing 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. You can only special summon Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon once per turn this way. This card's name becomes Blue Eyes White Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. Once per turn you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. This card is really good when it comes to destroying a monster that's stronger than yours, but do keep in mind it does target, so expect that to screw you over. Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon is a level 8 ritual monster with 3000 attack and no defense with the effect. You can ritual summon this card with Chaos Form, must be ritual summoned. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, also it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card was ritual summoned using Blue Eyes White Dragon, when it declares an attack, you can change the battle positions of many monsters your opponent controls as possible. And if you do, the attack and defense of those changed monsters become 0. Also this turn, this card attacks defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. I usually think of this card as a wall that your opponent has no choice but to battle against, so I see this as a win. Moving on. Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is the same as its regular counterpart, but 1000 attack points higher, and it has the effect. You can ritual summon this card with Chaos Form, must be ritual summoned. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, also it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict double piercing battle damage. This kinda goes with both the ritual monsters, why not word its immunity differently? You could say something like, your opponent cannot target or destroy this monster with card effects. There, I just fixed Konami's god-awful one-on sentence writing. Anyway, getting back on track, yeah, it's pretty much the same deal with Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon. Then, hey, double piercing battle damage, that's actually pretty good in my opinion. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is a monster that is 3000 attack and 0 defense, because we needed another anime reference. Other cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon once per turn, and only while Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is on your field or in your graveyard. You can special summon this card from the graveyard or hand. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return to the hand. Well, if your monster gets destroyed, you get a little bit of protection, but it's most likely gonna happen during the battle phase. If you do manage to keep this card alive though, it does have a decent effect of bouncing a card back to the hand. Your choice if you want to run this. Blue Eyes Shining Dragon is a level 10 monster with the effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by tributing 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 300 attack for each dragon monster in your graveyard. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets this card, you can negate that effect. This guy dares have the audacity to have the same stats as the Blue Eyes and needs a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to be tributed. And for what? A generic attack boost and a negate effect? Oh, perfect. Blue Eyes Solid Dragon is a monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can shuffle this card from your field back into the deck, and if you do, special summon 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. You can only use each effect of Blue Eyes Solid Dragon once per turn. So this thing negates once, gets a Blue Eyes during our opponent's turn, And that's it. Deep Eyes White Dragon is a monster with 0 stats and has the effect. When a face-up Blue Eyes monster you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, and you have a dragon-type monster in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, inflict 600 damage to your opponent for each dragon type with different names in your graveyard. If this card is normal or special summoned, target one dragon-type monster in your graveyard. This card's attack becomes equal to the monster's. If this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. It tries to do so well with the burn damage, it's not even funny. And if its effect would be able to activate even by being destroyed by battle, I'd consider maybe playing this card at 1, but no. Dictator of D is a monster that's level 4 with 1200 attack and 1100 defense. While you control a Blue Eyes monster, you choose attack targets for your opponent's attacks. You can only use each of the following effects of Director of D once per turn. You can send one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or deck to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. You can discard one Blue Eyes White Dragon or one card that mentions it, target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Well, it's better than redirecting an attack at this card specifically. But it also has a weird way of summoning black your Blue Eyes by sending it to the graveyard only to revive it back. At least that's what it looks like early game if you have no other plays. Dragon Spirit of White is another level 8 monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. This card is always treated as a Blue Eyes card. This card is treated as a normal summon while in your hand or graveyard. When this is normal or special summon, you can target one spell or trap your opponent controls, banish it. If your opponent controls a monster, you can tribute this card, special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. It targets a back row to banish it, which is always nice. And well, from your opponent's setup just by playing the game, you can always special summon a Blue Eyes. However, it's only for when it's specifically in your hand. I wish I did it for the graveyard too, just so we can set up some combo plays, but this is fine too. Getting to the back row now, we have the equipped spell Beacon of Light. If you do not control another Beacon of Light and you have 3 or more Blue Eyes monsters in your graveyard, target one of them, special summon it, but negate its effects, also equip it to this card. When this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster. Other monsters you control cannot attack. Also, if you have any number of Blue Eyes monsters in your graveyard, the equipped monster can attack up to that number of times during each battle phase. This card has way too much of a heavy restriction for not only needing 3 or more Blue Eyes cards, but also not letting your other monsters attack too. It's not worth it. Bingo Machine Go is a normal spell that has the effect. Reveal 3 cards that each meets at least one of the criteria listed below. Your opponent randomly picks one of the cards to add to your hand, and you shuffle the rest back into your deck, and you can only activate this card once per turn. These criteria being a Blue Eyes monster or a spell or trap that specifically lists Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon except Bingo Machine Go. Remember when these cards told you to shuffle your deck afterward, even though it's now just a straight up rule? Anyway, it's a somewhat good searcher, though it's still a gamble what you're gonna get unless you're running all 3 copies of one specific card that you're somehow not drawing. First Stream of Destruction is another normal spell that reads, if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Blue Eyes White Dragons you control cannot attack the turn you activate this card. Are you ready for a better substitute? Raigeki. Next one. Chaos Form is just how you summon the ritual monsters, so we don't really have much to go over with this card. Majesty with Eyes of Blue is a quick play spell card that reads, send one Blue Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster on the field. It cannot attack while it is face-up on the field. You can only activate one Majesty with Eyes of Blue once per turn. Nowadays, your opponent can either link off the monster or summon a stronger one, or both, and this card wouldn't be really as effective. So I wouldn't really recommend it unless you feel really confident that your opponent has no other plays left. Neutron Blast is a normal spell that reads, target one fusion summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon you control. This turn it can make a second and third attack during each battle phase. Also when it attacks, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated until the end of the damage step. If you really want to play this card, just play it at 1 copy. For the love of God, do that, because you're gonna brick this card if you have this in your opening hand. Rage with Eyes of Blue is a quick play spell card that reads, banish this card and as many cards as possible from your hand, field, or graveyard face down, and if you do, special summon up to 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. You cannot normal or special summon monsters the turn you activate this card except Blue Eyes White Dragon. Also play at 1 copy or just don't play it at all unless you don't want to gamble the fact that you have Blue Eyes White Dragon in your opening hand or if you even draw in the first place. Strength and Unity is a continuous spell card that reads, if you ritual or fusion summon using Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician, you can target 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, banish it. You can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard, then target 1 level 7 or higher normal monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand or shuffle it into your deck. You can only use each effect of Strength and Unity once per turn. I don't know, it requires a bit much setup just to get one of your fusion materials right back to your hand. Also, this is just eye-rolling. We get it, the OG monsters rival each other and we know you're using this for nostalgia bait. Nobody plays this card. Ultimate Fusion is a quick play spell card that reads, during the main phase, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as material by shuffling the fusion materials listed on them from your hand, field, and or graveyard into the deck. Then, you can destroy face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Blue Eyes White Dragon and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon used as fusion material. You can only activate 1 Ultimate Fusion per turn. This spell card is actually insane. It puts materials back into the deck and it does non-targeting destruction. Though we are in an era where everybody and their mother has a graveyard effect, so run this wisely. Vision with Eyes of Blue is a continuous spell card that reads, when you activate this card, you can reveal 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon in your hand, special summon 1 monster from your hand. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster you control, return that face-up monster to the hand. Then you can apply the following effects based on the original name of the card that returned to the hand. If you return Blue Eyes White Dragon to the hand, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand, or if it was another card, you can special summon 1 Blue Eyes from your hand. So from the bat, I thought of something really funny with this card. You can reveal Blue Eyes White Dragon, special summon it, bounce it to your hand, only to special summon it again so you can absolutely f*** your opponent. It's kind of funny. Though, to get serious with this card, I have a feeling that this might FTK somebody. For traps, we have Destined Rivals. If you control Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. You can only activate 1 Destined Rivals per turn. It's so sort of play, so it's just a worse Dark Ruler no more. That's all I have to say about it. The ultimate creature of destruction is a normal trap that reads, target 1 Blue Eyes monster you control this turn. That face-up monster is unaffected by card effects except its own. It cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, any opponent's monsters it battles is destroyed at the end of the damage step. While this card is in your graveyard, if you normal or special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. And you can only use this card once per turn. If this was a quick play spell card, it would be really good, but no, we gotta make it a trap card so you don't have to activate this until the next turn. So it's good for protection from battle on your opponent's turn most of the time. True Light is a continuous trap card that reads, your opponent cannot target Blue Eyes White Dragon in your monster zone with card effects. If this face-up card is sent from the spell and trap zone into the graveyard, destroy all monsters you control. You can only use the effect of True Light once per turn. You can activate one of these effects. Special summon 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or graveyard, or set 1 spell and trap from your deck that specifically lists Blue Eyes White Dragon in its text with a different name from the cards you control and in your graveyard. Yeah, this is just Eternal Soul but for the Blue Eyes archetype. Heck, it even has the cost for when it gets destroyed. The second effect can be a little punishing when you run multiple copies of certain cards, but the first effect has great ways of special summoning. But there are other ways to special summon Blue Eyes, which are better than a continuous trap. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is just a 4500 beater, but what I will say is that Cyberstein was a good target for this, at least before it got hit with a big fat ban. Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon has the same stats as Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with the effect. It requires 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, and at the end of the damage step, if this face-up card you control and this fusion summoned card attacked, you can send 1 Blue Eyes fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard and it can attack in a row. You can use this effect effect of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon up to twice per turn. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Blue Eyes monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. It's a good retrain since it can't be destroyed by effects, and I like how the card isn't too picky with fusion materials. Absolutely run this, especially for the graveyard effect. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon is a level 9 synchro monster that requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Blue Eyes monsters with 2500 attack and 3000 defense. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. Once per turn, when an effect or a card in the graveyard is activated, you can negate the activation. You can tribute this synchro summoned card, special summon 1 light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck and defense position except Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. If this doesn't bitch slap link spam players, I don't know what does. Heck, it even shuts down a card in the graveyard to make sure it's good measure. Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon is a level 10 fusion monster with the same stats as Blue Eyes and has the effect. Must be either fusion summoned or special summoned by sending the above monsters you control to the graveyard, in which case you do not use polymerization and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and this card can make up to 2 attacks during each battle phase. At the end of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster was not destroyed by battle, you can banish that opponent's monster. Doesn't need a poly and has non-targeting banishing. What's not to love? Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon is a monster with 3400 attack and 2900 defense and only needs a Blue Eyes White Dragon and any other dragon monster, even if it is another Blue Eyes. Must be either fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with the fusion monster. Unaffected by trap cards or effects, this card can attack all your opponent's controls once each. Once per turn at the end of the damage step, if this card battled, you can target 1 trap in your graveyard, set it to your spell and trap zone. My pet peeve with this card is when in this archetype are you ever going to equip Blue Eyes with a fusion monster? There are literally no other cards that help with this. Thank God Konami made another way of summoning this card. It's also good for recycling traps if that's what you prefer, and it's a neat reference to the Orichalcos arc from the anime. Dragon Master Knight is a monster that's level 12 with 5000 attack and defense and requires Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as fusion materials. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon type monster you control except this card. Generic attack boosting for 2 monsters that are already difficult to summon. Yeah, not worth it. Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon has the same stats and conditions as the regular counterpart with the effect. Your opponent cannot target or destroy this card with card effects. Once per turn, you can target one of your opponent's controls, destroy it. If this card was fusion summoned using a monster whose original name was Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon as material, you can target up to 3 cards your opponent controls instead. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. You just need 1 Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon in order to really kick this effect off, though it still only targets. I think it's still a good card in my book though. If you're wondering why cards like Azure Eyes Silver Dragon aren't in this video, that's because technically they're not really a part of the Blue Eyes archetype, just staples. For example, Azure Eyes can target any normal monster in the graveyard to special summon them. Same goes to the other cards that didn't appear in this video. Blue Eyes White Dragon support still comes out to this very day. It's a pretty fun deck to build and play around with, especially when you want to mess with big monsters. If you are new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, I suggest making a Blue Eyes deck, that way you can handle the simple effects. On the other hand, it can get a little bit bricky, so the score will be a determined 8 out of 10. I'm OP Silver, and signing off.